Oh, this is gonna hurt. Bunga bunga! I just went ham, dude. So, Leo. This is a character that I was always very curious to play myself. One of the main reasons being that everyone talks about Leo as if he's this gorilla character, right? As a character that just goes ham on people, that just attacks, and that's pretty much all he does, and that no one can deal with him, and that he's insanely strong, and if you don't have a DP, you're just gonna get destroyed, right? That's the general idea of Leo, what I've heard everyone say about the character. And I thought to myself before this, well, let's see if I can adapt to such a playstyle, because as a player, the Unga playstyle, it's something that's very complicated for me. I don't think I can play Unga with pretty much any character that's supposed to be Unga. I don't know, that's just a weakness I have as a player, or it's just not my playstyle, but I was wondering if I was going to be able to adapt to that kind of gameplay. And throughout the week I was surprised that while the character is very easy to play, playing Unga is really not difficult. It's actually fairly easy, but the fact that it's easy to do means that it's also easy to defend against, in the case of Leo at least, and that's something I'm gonna go more into detail in the negative section. But for now, let's just start by talking about the positives, the things I enjoyed about the character, so let's get to that. So the very first thing I want to talk about is his ease of use. You can learn the character extremely fast. His complicated stuff, of course, it's difficult, as is the case with every character, but you can get a very competent Leo by just learning the basics. Learn some left-right mix-ups, some high-lows, and you're done. That's it. I actually learned one of his optimal combos fairly quickly. It took me about 10 minutes to learn it, which is really not a lot. I decided to go and play some games, and to my surprise I actually won the very first round I played with Leo, especially knowing that with every other character I've played so far, I haven't been able to do that at all. It actually takes me more than one match to win a single round with any of the other characters we've been playing in the series. And don't get me wrong, after that round I just started losing non-stop, but the fact that I felt that I was learning the character so easily, actually it was very encouraging. It was very encouraging to me to keep going. I can see how people would want to have a pocket Leo, you know? Easy character, you just want to go crazy on people, just go ham, boom, you pick Leo and you have fun and it feels amazing. Another thing that's really good about Leo, and I think it's a big positive, and it's one of the reasons that people like the character so much, is that landing things with him feels great. So the main thing that I like landing with Leo is back turn D. So back turn D is his big shield parry attack. The thing parries pretty much everything. As long as you know it's coming, you can mash it at times if you want to be crazy. You can bait a lot of things with it, and it's such a satisfying feeling. My favorite, I think, was being able to get people so scared to do wake up burst and just do back turn D on their wake up. eat up their burst. It feels great. I love it. Even though my combos are not there, I'm pretty sure you can get like bigger combos from back turn D in the corner after you hit someone with it, but I didn't care, you know, just the fact that I managed to bait a burst, it felt great. It made me feel like I was an insane Leo player, even though I was just doing the most basic stuff. For a beginner, having the tools to be able to do really cool stuff like that, it's actually very motivating for them. You know, when you're a beginner player, let's say you're playing Soul and you want to bait a burst, you have to be able to first know that the burst is coming, and second block it, and third be able to do a combo behind it, which to be honest for a beginner is a bit difficult. However, with Leo, what you can do is, you know the burst is coming, you just press D, Leo launches the guy into the air after the parry, and then you just do back turn S, back turn H, and that's it, and you get very simple Oki out of it. very easy. From what I understand, this character was meant to be a character for people that were getting into the game, so getting into Exerd back then. He was designed that way, and I can see why. He's pretty cool, to be honest. It's good to have a character like this in the game that's not overly complicated compared to the other characters, and for me that's a huge positive. I can see myself having this character as well as a pocket character, you know. I know I've said that pretty much about every character, but so far I'm being very impressed by how easy to learn a lot of these characters are at a very basic level. I was very intimidated before starting the series because I thought I wasn't going to be able to do much with it. But we're kind of getting off topic right here, and I'm going to go to the final positive, which is when you play this character and when you learn him, you can get to play Guilty Gear very fast. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, it's very simple. Since he's very easy to learn, so his combos and his Oki, you can spend more time actually focusing on playing the game rather than focusing on, oh, am I gonna drop this combo? Am I gonna drop this Oki? Oh, it's time to do this combo. Oh my god, I dropped it. So you're gonna spend less time doing that kind of stuff. And you're actually gonna be able to focus more on using RCs. You're gonna be able to focus more on movement. You're gonna be able to focus more on how to defend properly, because you know that once you get an opening, it's gonna be very easy for you to actually do the stuff that he can do, which is why I think I was able to do so well with him from day one, because I wasn't really focusing too much on, oh, I'm gonna drop a combo. I was mostly focusing on, okay, what can I do in this situation? What can I do when I go in? Oh, I can bait a burst here. I can get my Oki going. I can do YRC here and so on. So it made me, you know, very relaxed. I didn't feel stressed out when I was playing Leo for the first time. So yeah, I would say those are the positive for the character. It's a great beginner character. I would honestly recommend this character if you're a beginner. It's great to learn the game, and it's your lucky day if you like him because he's gonna be on Strive. So it's a good moment to play him, even though he might be completely different in Strive, but still, cool character. There are some negative things that can frustrate everyone, especially beginners, and let me go into that, because even though his positives are great, his negatives can be quite annoying. So let's go. The very first one, I would say that this character is very easy at low levels because no one knows how to fight him. However, once you fight versus mid levels sometimes, and especially good players, all the things that were working before, they're not gonna work. If you let Rekkas go all the way, then you're gonna get grabbed. If you end pretty much everything into a Rekka, you're gonna get grabbed, you're gonna get countered, blitz, you name it. You're gonna get destroyed versus good players that know how to fight this character. So he's pretty much one of those characters that it's a priority to learn. If you don't want to get knocked out of a tournament, for example, because he's so common and it's so easy to rob people from rounds and matches with him. So you might find yourself, once you start getting better with Leo, completely stuck when you fight against good players because you're not going to be able to open them up at all. So that can be a very frustrating point for some people. There were some matches where you could visibly see me getting very annoyed because it didn't matter what I was doing with the character. I was getting grabbed, I was getting blitzed, I was getting countered, and it was really getting to me actually. And I'm gonna link point 1 with point 2, and it is that if you only do the very basic stuff, you're never gonna open these people up. And if you want to do the stuff that actually works versus good players, it's actually very difficult. It's not very easy to pull off. You gotta be able to adjust the timing of your strings, of your Oki, to fake out a bunch of stuff, to really make difficult to deal with block strings, know your frame data by heart pretty much, which is not the case with a lot of characters, but with Leo it actually helps a lot to be able to have very scary frame traps, and also to be able to do the most damaging combos, namely after a back turn D, which are sometimes very complicated. Just doing dash forward, back turn S, back turn H is really not the best thing to do, even though it gives you good Oki, but you're missing out on a lot of damage by doing that. And for number 3, he has a couple very rough matchups. So one of them being the Sin matchup, it was extremely difficult for me. Every time I fought a Sin, there were Leo players in chat telling me, oh, have fun, good luck, this is his worst matchup. So you know, it was a bit scary to know that, in the sense that the way they would talk about it, it would just feel that it's an unbeatable matchup. Like, you cannot win versus Sin, according to some players. Which, you know, it might be a meme, but you could feel it. You could actually feel that that matchup was not easy at all. It was very difficult for Leo to actually do the things he wanted to do against Sin. But you know, at the end of the day, this is a thing that many characters have. But the difference with Leo is that not only you have a bad matchup, but you have also the fact that pretty much everyone knows to fight against you. So it just makes it extra difficult if you want to get to the next level with the character. And it will require you to put a lot of work to actually be strong with him. Not that there's anything wrong with that, of course. But for some people that might be quite discouraging to know that they cannot just get to purple circle by just doing whatever they want. And the final negative point I would say is that it's very easy to fall into bad habits playing Leo. Now, what do I mean with this? It's very simple. Let's assume that you mostly play against beginners or mid-level players. The strings you're gonna do, the combos you're gonna do, and the OP you're gonna do are gonna be very simple. Actually, you can get away by doing the same stuff over and over and over and over again. In short, you're just being autopilot, which is a very bad habit, especially when you're playing against good players. Doing the same thing over and over is the best way to pretty much lose every single game. So being able to recognize when you're autopiloting and changing it up with Leo, it's fairly easy if you're a good player, but if you're getting up there, it's actually going to be very hard for you, and you're going to have many bad habits from playing versus lower level players that you're going to have to iron out. And it's going to take a very long time for you to do it if you don't understand what exactly you're doing wrong with the character. And it is something that I've seen from many Leo players, including myself, always ending with Rekkas, always ending with the same button, always ending my attacks in 2D, you know, that kind of stuff. Doing it over and over again is the best way to get killed with Leo. So again, some people might get discouraged by this, but at the end of the day, it's something that all characters have to deal with. I will say with Leo, it's something that happens even more often than with other characters. Right, so that's for the positives and the negatives. And now I want to talk about tips for people that want to play Leo. I kind of went into it during the positives and negatives, but let me elaborate a bit more on that. Okay, so tip number 1 is don't default to use Rekkas at the end of block strings. This is something that I was doing all the time during the first 3 days of learning Leo. I would do a block string and I would just end with Rekkas. I would let the whole Rekka go, by the way. A lot of people tend to mash after it for some reason, so I was getting away with it. If all 3 Rekkas get blocked, you get punished, which is not something you want. If you only do 1 Rekka, if they instant block it, they can mash. You cannot do anything. Your pressure is over unless you have RC. If you do 2 Rekkas, same thing, they can still mash out. Even though you're back turn, you can still get hit. If they instant block one of your Rekkas, it's possible for them to grab you. If they instant block the final button before your Rekka and you're close enough, they can still grab you. There are many things like that. So the thing that I will recommend you to do the most is to vary mostly your normals. Or rather than normals, vary your Gatlings. So try not to end every single Gatling you do into a Rekka, but instead try to end them into a very positive button. So 6H or 2S. Those are my go-to buttons once I learned it, and once I managed to understand how plus I am after those things, my pressure improved tenfold. And you can see in some of the clips how I was just going on and on and on with the pressure. You just felt that it never ended for the opponent, which in turn it's gonna build risk, and once you hit them with that big counter hit, your damage is gonna skyrocket. It's gonna feel amazing. You're gonna feel like a complete Leo player. Now for tip number 2, and it's something I didn't do, but that every Leo told me to do, and it is to try to get used to back turn stance as soon as you can. So when you're in back turn stance, you cannot block, which is maybe why I wasn't doing it, because I didn't feel comfortable not being able to block. But in turn, you have really good buttons. You have back turn S, you have back turn H, you have back turn P, which can be used as an anti-air as well, and you have back turn K, which is very good as well to mix your opponent up. And of course, you have back turn D, your trusty parry. So when you're back turn D, you're also able to dash through the opponent when you're close to him, so it can also help with very nasty mix-ups. So you can, for example, do resets with it. You can go left, right, to confuse your opponent. There's many things you can do with it. You just have to experiment. The way I was using back turn stance was pretty much just for Oki. I never used it for anything else, which is a shame really, but if you're starting out with Leo, I would definitely recommend you that you get used to this as soon as you can. There are ways to go to back turn stance from neutral, and you should get very comfortable with using those quickly. Because if you get too comfortable of not doing it, I think that you're actually limiting yourself with what you can do with the character. And finally, I would say that this is the hardest part for beginners, mostly fighting game beginners, and it will be to always charge his attacks. So while playing neutral and doing your stuff, you want to try to always have at least some charge with you to be able to do an attack. It's always good, for example, you're in neutral, you're jumping around and you're holding down back. Once you land, the opponent air dash at you, you gotta be able to flash kick the guy immediately. So that's a situation that you want to always have in your mind. Being able to keep your charge and do it on command, it's very important to play Leo. It's, I think, the only thing I was doing somewhat well with him, because I play Mei and she's full of charge moves. But for those that are not used to playing charge characters, try to get that in your head. Just always charge attacks, always charge attacks. Even if you don't use them, you always want to be there charging an attack, just in case. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry if my voice sounds a bit rough. I've been getting bodied by allergies this whole week, which is why I haven't really been able to stream at all. As for the next week's character, it's gonna be Chip. So that's a character that I already know to play a little bit. So instead of learning it from scratch, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to take my Chip to the next level. Not to have a beginner Chip, but to have a somewhat decent Chip. And we'll see what will happen. Hopefully I'm gonna be able to do the cool stuff with him, since we're not gonna spend a lot of time learning basics. So I'm very excited about it. I hope to see you there. And with that being said, feel free to follow me on Twitter and on Twitch. And also don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube for more videos. Every 2 weeks I try to upload a new episode of this. So stay tuned for Chip. It's gonna be our next video, and hope you have a great day. See ya!